Welcome to the Pages of Possibilities podcast, Ink to Gold.
It is genuinely good to be here.
You know, usually when we sit down for one of these deep dives, I feel like I have to, brace myself. We're always tackling these huge, complex topics. Global supply chains, AI. It's loud, it's fast.
It's stressful.
It's really stressful, but today feels different.
It does, doesn't it? The whole atmosphere has shifted.
Yeah, it feels quieter, a lot more intimate. It's like we're in a study. You know, dark walls, one lamp on a big wooden desk. It's got this cozy sophistication.
That's the perfect way to put it. And it fits because today we're not looking out at the chaos of the market. We're looking inward.
Yeah.
At the architecture of thought itself.
Which, ironically, might just be the most profitable thing you can do. We're diving into a source called the Solopreneur's Blueprint, Strategic Journaling for Business Growth.
Right.
And look, I want to talk to the skeptics right off the bat, because I know some of you heard the word journaling and your hand went straight for the skip button.
Oh, for sure. You're thinking, okay, here we go. The manifest your dreams talk.
Or the write down 3 things you're grateful for routine. Which, look, that stuff has its place.
It does, but that is absolutely not what we are doing today.
No. This isn't just about feelings. This is about strategy. It's about taking that absolute chaos in a solopreneur's brain and forcing it into a shape that actually makes money.
It's about clarity.
It's about clarity and coherence.
Exactly. Those are the words for today. The source argues that for a solo business owner, the biggest threat isn't your competition. It's the noise inside your own head.
So let's set the stage with this core conflict the author talks about right at the beginning. They call it the Boardroom of One.
The Boardroom of One. It's such a powerful phrase.
It sounds strong, but it's pretty dangerous, right?
It's incredibly dangerous. We love to glamorize the solopreneur, the lone wolf.
Right. The digital nomad on a beach somewhere.
But the author points out this really stark reality. When you're the CEO and the marketing team and the janitor, you are completely and totally isolated.
It's that echo chamber effect. In a normal company, you have an idea, you turn to your colleague and go, hey, what do you think of this?
And they might say, that's brilliant, or
that's the worst idea I've ever heard in my life. And that feedback, that saves you.
Exactly. It's a safety rail. But the source points out that for the solopreneur, that rail is just gone. The author says, I don't have the luxury of being able to bounce ideas off anyone at a moment's notice.
And that is actually terrifying when you stop to think about it.
Yeah.
You could waste 6 months building something just because you didn't have one person to tell you it was a bad idea on day one.
Or, the opposite could happen. You could kill $1 million idea because you got nervous and had no one there to cheer you on.
So your internal bias just runs wild.
It runs wild. And that's where the author introduces the solution. And it's this one line that I think it defines this whole deep dive. They write, I have me and my journals.
I have me and my journals.
It's such a declaration of self-reliance. But notice the shift there. The journal isn't a passive thing. It's not just a box to store thoughts in.
It's an active partner.
It becomes the silent partner. It fills that empty chair in the boardroom.
So it turns your internal monologue into a dialogue.
Precisely. You put your thoughts on the page, and suddenly you can look at them like they belong to someone else. You can actually critique them.
Okay, so that's the why. The page is the partner. But let's get into the how. Because the author didn't just grab any old napkin. There's a ritual here.
And rituals are so important. They signal to your brain that it's time for a state change.
Let's talk about the gear. The author mentions a very specific tool, a Scriveiner pen.
A Scriveiner. A classic.
Sounds expensive. Sounds heavy.
It is. It's a quality instrument. Often black and gold, fittingly. It feels substantial. But the brand isn't really the point. It's how the author uses it.
Right. They only use it for journaling. That's the rule.
And that is the key. It's a psychological trigger.
Yeah.
It's context-dependent memory. If you use the same cheap pen for your grocery list and your business plan, your brain has no idea what mode to be in.
It's all just writing.
It's just writing.
Yeah.
But if you have this one specific heavy pen that only comes out for deep strategic work, the second you pick it up, your brain gets the signal. It knows, okay, we're not doing chores, we're building an empire now.
It's like putting on a uniform.
Yeah.
Just lowers the friction to get into that flow state.
Exactly. It creates a boundary. And boundaries are everything when you're looking for clarity.
Speaking of boundaries, or I guess the lack of them, we have to talk about the mistake the author was making before this whole thing. Because I read this and I felt personally attacked.
The catch-all method.
The catch-all.
Guilty.
I have one notebook. And you open it up, page 1 is for this show. Page 2 is a reminder to call my mom.
A doodle of a cat on page 3.
A half-finished grocery list on page 4, yes.
And that's how most of us operate. And look, to be fair, it's great for capture. You never lose an idea because it all goes in one bucket.
It's a great bucket. It is a terrible workspace.
That's it, exactly. The author was mixing personal stuff, business ideas, random noise, all in one journal. And the problem isn't just finding things, it's the cognitive load.
Explain that. Why does my grocery list hurt my business strategy?
Because your brain is an association machine. So when you open that notebook to work on your big brand strategy, your peripheral vision is catching the note about the dentist appointment. It's seeing the reminder to buy milk. And even if you aren't consciously reading it, your brain is processing it. It's just background static.
So you can't get into that deep focus. It's like trying to have a serious board meeting while someone's shouting about milk in the background.
Perfect analogy. You can't get to ink to gold if the ink is mixed with mud. You need a clean vessel.
And that brings us to the pivot. The author realizes this catch-all thing is not working, so they go into their stash.
The stash of empty notebooks. We all have one.
It's a requirement for the job. So they pull one out and they make this declaration. This one. This is exclusively for pages of possibilities.
And I want to pause here because it sounds so simple. Use a separate notebook. Big deal. But in the Boardroom of One, this is like renting a whole separate office.
It's physical compartmentalization.
Yes. The author said that usually their mind just skips and jumps around everywhere, but with the dedicated journal, they could ignore everything else.
That phrase really stood out. Ignore everything else. I usually think of focus as staring really hard at one thing.
But it's not. Focus is exclusion. It's the art of deliberately ignoring what doesn't matter right now. And that dedicated journal creates the physical boundary that enforces the exclusion.
Okay, but before we get to the results, which are honestly wild, we have to talk about the Ross detail.
Yes.
Because we just spent all this time on the fancy Scriveiner pen, and I don't want you to think you need to drop a fortune to do this.
No, accessibility is a core value here. You don't need some leather-bound book from Florence.
The author drops this pro tip. They found 5 basic bullet-style journals at Ross.
For $3.99 each.
$3.99. That is less than my coffee.
And this is such a critical detail. The expensive pen is a trigger for importance. But cheap paper. Cheap paper is a trigger for freedom.
Okay, unpack that.
Yeah.
Why is cheap paper better?
Well, have you ever bought a really nice, expensive notebook, like a $40 Moleskine?
Absolutely. And I am terrified to write in it. I feel like if I spell something wrong on page 1, the whole investment is just ruined.
That's what we call preciousness. High cost creates high stakes. It triggers your inner perfectionist, and you stop yourself from writing down a so-called bad idea.
But with a $4 journal from Ross,
it's disposable, it's low stakes, it invites you to be messy. It says, go on, scribble, draw a bad diagram, cross stuff out, and that's where innovation actually happens, in the mess.
So you've got this beautiful tension. The Scriveiner pen says, this is serious.
And the Ross journal says, but it's okay to mess up.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
Accessible, simple, but it produces this rich result. You're literally turning cheap ink and paper into gold.
Which is the whole point.
So let's look at that gold, because the title isn't Ink to Nice Feelings, it's Ink to Gold. Did it actually work?
The evidence in the source is. It's really compelling. The author sits down for that first session with the new dedicated journal. And in one sitting, they didn't just clear their head, they created tangible business assets.
Okay, let's run through the list, because for like an hour of work, this is pretty impressive. Breakthrough number 1. A new lead magnet to monetization idea.
Which is huge. A lead magnet is that free thing you give away to get an email address, right? But they didn't just plan the freebie, they mapped the entire path to monetization.
So how do I get this person from being a free reader to a paying customer?
Right. That is the bridge from hobby to business, and you can't really map that out in your head.
Okay, breakthrough number 2. A plan for 12 sellable journals.
That's a whole product line. That's a year of inventory planned out in, what, 20 minutes?
How does that even happen? How do you go from 0 to 12 that fast?
That's the power of deep work. When you're in that focused state, your brain just starts seeing patterns. You don't see one idea. You see the template. You see the system behind it.
So they didn't just design one journal. They saw the structure that could be copied 12 times.
Exactly. Breakthrough number 3. A content strategy just for YouTube.
So now they have the product, the journals, and the marketing engine to sell them.
And again, writing it down lets you connect the dots. Okay, this video topic leads to that specific journal.
And the final one? Number 4. This one's my favorite. It's so practical. They generated a huge list of product ideas from PLR.
PLR, private label rights.
Can you just define that for us? Because I know some people hear PLR and they get a little skeptical.
Sure. PLR is basically content ebooks, templates, planners, where you buy the license to use it as your own. You can rebrand it, modify it, and sell it.
So, is that cheating?
A smart solopreneur calls it leverage. Think about Ford. They don't make every single screw in the car, right? They buy parts from suppliers. PLR is just your raw material.
So the author used this journaling session to basically audit their raw material.
Exactly. They looked at what they already had and asked, how can I assemble this into a product? And that's a really high-level strategic task.
Which you can't do if your brain is thinking about milk.
You can't. The journal became their external RAM. It held all the information so their brain was free to just process.
So in one session, a sales funnel, a product line, a marketing plan, and leveraging existing assets.
That's what ink to gold means. Those ideas were probably floating around for months, just hidden behind the grocery list. They were invisible because they were fragmented. The journal made them visible and therefore actionable.
Which brings us to the philosophy of this whole thing. The author gives a definition of journaling that I think completely reframes it.
It's a very specific, very powerful definition.
They write, journaling isn't about emptying your head. It's about putting your thoughts to paper so you can develop them or exclude them.
Develop or exclude. That's the golden rule.
It stops it from just being venting. Venting is just dumping the trash on the page.
Right. Venting can be good for your emotional health, sure. But for business, it's just moving the mess from your head to the paper. This is about processing that mess.
Let's talk about the exclude part, because we're always told in brainstorming there are no bad ideas.
Which is true for the first 5 minutes. But eventually you have to choose. And for a solopreneur, the ability to exclude is maybe more important than the ability to generate.
Why is that?
Because we all have a million good ideas. I should start a podcast, I should write a book, I should be on TikTok. And if you keep all those ideas active, they just drain your energy. They're like open tabs on your computer.
And they cause anxiety. You feel like you're failing at 10 things instead of succeeding at one.
Exactly. So when you write an idea down in the strategic journal, you can look at it coldly and say, you know what? That's a nice idea.
Yeah.
But no. And you cross it out.
You fire the idea.
You fire it. And the moment you put that line through it on the paper, your brain lets it go.
Yeah.
It stops nagging you. You've excluded it. And that frees up all that mental energy for the ideas you chose to develop.
It's ruthless prioritization. And you can't be ruthless with a vague cloud of thoughts. You have to see it to kill it.
A bit aggressive, but yeah. The journal makes the abstract concrete. And once it's concrete, you can manage it.
Now, I want to talk to the person listening who's maybe feeling a bit overwhelmed by all this. You know, we're throwing around monetization funnels and PLR, and someone's listening thinking, I don't have a business strategy. I'm drowning. Where do I even start?
And the source material speaks directly to that person, to the learner.
The advice is so gentle. The author says basically, if you're overwhelmed by this, just pick one thing.
Just one thing. Don't try to solve your whole life in one go. Don't try to write a 50-page business plan. Just pick one idea or one project you want to develop.
And then see what pops out of your head when you do.
I love that phrase, see what pops out. It implies discovery. It means you don't have to know the answer before you start writing.
It takes all the pressure off. You're not writing to record what you know. You're writing to find out what you know.
Exactly. It's an act of faith in your own subconscious. We're often smarter than we think. We're just too noisy to hear ourselves. The writing is the listening device.
So when you zoom out, this was never really about stationery, was it? It's not about Scriveiner pens or Ross notebooks.
No, those are just the tools. This deep dive is about attention.
We live in an attention economy. Everyone's fighting for a piece of ours.
And the solopreneur is the most vulnerable target. This ink to gold method is a way of reclaiming your territory. It's planting a flag on your desk and saying, this space right here, inside this cheap notebook, this belongs only to my highest value thinking.
It's about boundaries.
And boundaries create freedom. When you know all that other noise is locked out, you're finally free to go deep. And that's where the growth is.
Okay, so let's just quickly recap the blueprint. Because the barrier to entry here is literally $4 and a pen.
Step 1. Acknowledge you're in the boardroom of one. You need a sounding board. The page is your partner.
Step 2. Get the gear. A pen that feels important. and a notebook that you aren't afraid to ruin.
Step 3, the pivot. Move from the catch-all to the dedicated vessel. Give your most important project its own home.
Step 4, the practice. Don't just vent on the page. Use it to develop or exclude your ideas.
And finally, look for the gold. Treat those entries like assets. Mine them for the strategies and the clarity that will actually move your business forward.
This whole conversation has made me look at my own desk completely differently. I've got a stack of empty notebooks just sitting there.
Crying out for a purpose. We all do. It's time to give him a job.
And I think that leads us perfectly to our final thought. We always like to leave you with a question to mull over.
We do. And today I want to go back to that develop or exclude idea. We all have that one big ambition, that one project we say is so important to us.
But right now, it's probably fighting for brain space with your grocery list.
So here's the challenge. If you gave your biggest ambition its own dedicated book today, if you gave it a room of its own where the laundry list couldn't get in, what ideas are currently hiding in the back of your mind, just waiting for a safe place to land?
What's waiting to pop out?
Exactly. Give it a home and see what happens.
I love that. Thank you so much for this. It's been a really illuminating deep dive.
Always a pleasure.
Visit pagesofpossibilities.com.